Welcome back, Pack. This is Adriel from WolfSteel Buildings. And funny story, we lost our on-site footage of our intro, okay? But we've got you covered, okay? So in this video, we're gonna be walking through an incredible tubular building, okay? This one has a lot of customizations, which is actually the cool part about our tubular building. So many different customizations you can do. This one has different lean-tos, different enclosures in different areas. Super custom, very clean, and it's a practical layout and a high-performing project, okay? Now, before we get into the specs, let's talk a little bit about the story of our client. So our client found us on Google, and he went on our website and he designed exactly his vision, submitted it, and then next thing he knows, he's working with Ernesto to make his project come through. He was pretty straightforward. He already knew what he wanted. He had a vision, and which makes it super easy. He even leveled out his site, ready for us to come and do the concrete and building and everything you're about to see in this tour. So thank you so much for trusting us. I had a great time hanging out with you the day of the site of the tour, and as well as, you know, we just had a great experience. Great experience with you as a client, sir. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Also, the best part is that we're not just going to be showing the tour. We're also at the site going to be sharing the pricing of the project. So if you want to know what the pricing is and want to know a lot of the specs of this build, stick around, because in this walkthrough tour, that's what you're going to get. Now, as far as before we get into that, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's get this one going. Alrighty, Pack. So main structure, like usual, 30 wide, 75 foot long, 16 foot to the eaves. Okay, the pitch is still rising because this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a little bit more on the 412 pitch, but we still got a height that rises to the middle. Okay, we still have a higher clearance at the center. Now, if you're thinking about clearance for a tubular building, check out the trussing here. This trussing can still take away from your clearance of really getting that full clearance because of the peak bracing that we weld, which, by the way, we fabricate our own metal building. This was fabricated in Weatherford, Texas, where we fabricate our own tubular buildings, okay? And this is all galvanized frame, okay? So basically, galvanized is a coating on top of steel that prevents from rusting, because at the end of the day, the number one enemy to construction is water, right? Like Ernesto says, wood rots, steel rust.
Wood rots, steel rust.
And galvanized frames protects from that one, which is rust. And this is our 12 gauge framing. This comes with a 20-year warranty on rust protection of the frame, okay? And that's for our 12 gauge. Hey, Ed, check out, this is our ladder leg. Remember,
ladder
Ed,
style, right?
Let me test you. 13 and 14 foot legs, how do we do our legs?
Is double legs.
Double legs.
Yep.
And for 16 foot?
Those are gonna be
like this.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just testing this guy right here. One thing I also want to mention about how we do our things, so we don't use hat channel on the vertical, because this is vertical sliding on the walls. So basically the panels are up and down. You can do horizontal, which is more cost effective, but the vertical is the panels that run up and down, which requires us to put a steel bar here. We don't use hat channel, we use actual steel framing. The reason is because each panel is about, and you can see it right here, it's about 3 foot. If we didn't have this, there would be nothing to bolt onto. So we need these girts to be able to bolt these panels on. On a horizontal panels, you can save more money because there's less labor, less material, but I still think a vertical still gives you a lot more of a sturdier building. Although we do have 29 gauge panels, with the vertical, I think it's super solid, super strong. Again, the higher your building is, the more strength you need on your columns, the more they have to really expand as far as its stance. That's why I-beams and red iron are very common because of how wide it can get to withstand that lateral force. The colors you're seeing, team pack, is black for your walls, pewter gray for your roof, pewter gray trims, except the base trim is actually black. It's a very unique color combination. Man, come on in.
Let's go in.
So again, this is 30-foot open, 45-foot enclosed. Again, this is an area for like hangout. This is very common to like just come in and park your vehicles. Yeah. I don't think our clients doing that here. This is just really to hang out. You can put some tables here.
Yeah.
And just cook out and grill out. Like France says, I smell barbecue.
Okay, so talk to us about the trim here. The trim, what do we have here, Abdul?
Yeah, so something to keep in mind with how we do things is we custom order every single trim. One of our goals is to minimize seams, okay? We're very big about the little details. So the seams are basically when, say, you know, this is probably what, like 8x8. This looks like an 8x8 door, which is a roll-up door. And the seams, if I had like say a 4-footer and a 4-footer, then I'd have, you know, overlapping. So we custom order all to have no seams. So we don't stock any standard trims and we're piecing them together. We custom order and try to minimize as much all the seams on trims. We do have a U trim that we're using here along with the J trim. And this is what makes this so clean, where you don't even see a screw. And you don't see screws on here because this is very common in the tubular industry. We'll use like an L trim, but we changed it where we now use a U trim, and that makes this door and all the doors look super phenomenal, super clean, with very minimal oil canning. So right here you can see it's just a nice 8x8 roll-up door. It's an access from the main structure to the enclosed portion. I believe we have here some 12 by 14.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then here I can see here, if I'm not mistaken, some 10 by 10s.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Man,
talk to us
you
about.
can feel a little bit of more control. Again, spray foam is not going to make your building cooler or hotter. It's just going to control what's in there. Yeah. That's what it is.
Coming from out there to in here, man, you just feel like the difference with the spray foam is what I wanted to say.
Yeah, because the doors were closed, so it was controlled. There's not humidity as outside. So that's the beauty of spray foam. It's a vapor barrier, and so when you have everything enclosed, it allows you to control the temperature and humidity of what's inside. Obviously, if we leave these doors open for a little while, you're gonna get all that humidity in here. We're gonna feel about the same, right?
Yeah.
But the whole point of spray foam or in insulation is to help control the environment inside in a space. So the way we can think about it is like a Yeti box, okay, like a Yeti cooler. The moment you open it, all your ice is gonna melt. But the moment you keep it closed, it's gonna stay cold for a long period of time. And that's what the spray foam is all about. And again, he's got these doors so that way he can drive through and drive right across.
With the ATVs. And he has a good amount of windows I've seen on here, Abdul. Talk to us a little bit about the windows.
Yeah, so we got double pane windows. These are 36 by 36 windows. He's got them right up at the top, and there's a reason for it, okay? Those windows, especially with the sunrise in the morning, that's what he has them, to get that natural lighting. You reduce your expense on having electrical bills. Right now, I'm not sure if he's actually had his electricity ran through, but he probably doesn't need it. We can just close the doors, and he's getting a lot of natural lighting from it. Now, we do have other windows as well on the lean-tos, which we're going to be talking about that enclosed section for the lean-tos. Steel door, again, to access his and another steel door. This is not a mobile home door. Okay, so this is really a nice, solid, insulated door. The insulation is in the core, and the steel is the skin. Okay,
awesome. So it's a 36 by 84 steel door, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Heck yeah.
And again, we got the black walls. We got color matching screws. That is a standard for us, so we do all our buildings with color matching screws. Now, we could use galvanized screws, which is pretty common in the industry. If you got black, then it's just popping out. So color matching screws just really blend in, and that's the standard of how we do things just by default. So if you ask us to take it off, we'll probably do it for the same price.
Wow.
Look at how the door just looks, especially because we got the doors on the side. So we had to build some custom headers, you know, to sustain the roof up top, double, you know, box headers. And so the frame on the side, the notch detail that we had to do around here is completely different than what we had to do for the front. And that's because the frame here is wider. So that's another important thing. If you're gonna be doing your own concrete, it's important to really ask your builder how to do that notch, because they're not all the same. There are different dimensions based on the depth of your frame, okay? So even like this trim is specific for that. There's just so many little details when it comes down to what's ordered, what kind of cutouts we're gonna be doing for the notch. But then again, you don't see any screws, no oil canning. This is why we do this unique to the industry in general, but that's how we do things. And then you can't miss on the gutters and downspouts, guys. Not only do the gutters and downspouts really help control, because if we didn't have the gutters and downspouts, we got the vertical roof, which is the only roof we offer. We don't offer standard. We don't offer the horizontal where the panels are running up and down or sideways. What we offer only is the vertical roof, where all the water sheds to the sides, all of it. And even like in the upper states, if you're like on the northern states like Michigan, like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, all those states where you get a lot of snow, you definitely want a vertical roof so all your snow is just shedding off. Problem that happens with that is that, like anything, pros and cons to everything. The water is just gonna start falling right here, and then it starts creating what I call a trench, okay? It'll just start trenching and digging under your footings, and all of a sudden you got your whole foundation exposed. Gutters and downspouts, on the other hand, trap that water, redirect it, and now they're landing right here, okay? Awesome. So you can see the trenching that it's creating here, but it's away from the foundation. Now what he can do from here is maybe connect a drain pipe and get that water completely away. And that way he's protecting this foundation from erosion, which, keep in mind, guys, if you're doing what we do, is we're doing a foundation. From here forward, it's important to grow your grass or do some erosion control to prevent from erosion, because this is all like clay, which is more like select fill. And so this can easily get eroded by water, okay? Yeah. And so the biggest thing, my recommendation is, as soon as we're done, do your own landscaping. You can do some rock or install some sod, and that way that just protects your foundation from having any erosion. Awesome. Okay, so that is something to also budget in your whole project cost.
Yes. We can also install the sod, right, as well?
Yes.
That's something we're offering now?
Yeah, so it is something that we started to offer because, again, sometimes during the project, if it just starts raining, we can't get with the building, and we've seen where like the erosion happens, like, all right, well, let's get into doing the sod, because at the end of the day, we want to protect what we just built.
I see.
You know what I mean? So, but we do recommend our clients to make sure to do it afterwards. So, man, nice corner trims. We do use our nice corner trims. We don't use L trims. We use beautiful, nice trims. Look at that line of screws, man. Base trim to redirect water and keep the pests away. So we're out in the wild, guys. Like, it's literally in the wild. I just got bit by ants. There's we thought we saw a black widow spider. The scorpions out here. I know Willie was out here during the process. He's like, I know I saw a scorpion here too. So there's a lot of pests. So notch details, base trim, a lot of this helps to minimize these pests from coming inside your building, especially here in the wild that we are in. Awesome. I want to go into the lean-tos. You want to start talking about the lean-tos?
Yeah, let's work our way around this lean-to right here. we have here for the lean-to? I believe this one's a 14 by 45.
This must be the 14 by 45, so it's
Yes.
very unique. Marketing, help us out. Show us the layout, and if it's on a map, marketing, put where we are right now on that floor plan. Right now, where we're standing.
Right there.
You are here, and this is where we're traveling.
Yeah.
So we have two lean-tos. One is a 14 by 45, and the other one is a 14 by 60. One of them is long on one side, and then this one's a little bit more shorter. So this definitely has to be the 14 by 45. He does have an enclosed section on that 45. That's the cool part about your metal buildings, is that you can custom design it. Go to our designer and you can design your building. You can customize it. Now, do keep in mind that a lot of your customizations, especially with like tubular buildings, it can affect the price. Certain things can affect your price. For example, this is 14 wide. Up to a 12 wide, we'll use a single bar truss, okay? So it's just one single bar. Once we go over that, we have to use double. And that's because the bar will start sagging at that point. It just starts sagging. We don't want that, so double bar, okay? You go wider than like a 16 foot, if I'm not mistaken, 16 or 15, engineering now requires us to do a double bar with the spacer, kind of like the ladder leg, okay, on your columns. But with tubular buildings, that means more welding, that means more labor, and so therefore the price will definitely go up, okay? Now our client did some really nice openings here, okay? So with tubular buildings, they come 5 foot on centers. It can go lower, especially as you get to Houston, which, by the way, I do want to throw this comment out. There's comments out there, oh yeah, 150 miles an hour at 5 foot centers. I don't know how engineering does that, but I don't think that's possible. You definitely have to tighten your centers to get to 150 miles an hour. So if you see that, it's a red flag. So this 5 foot center should get you at about 120, maybe 130, just depends the design of the structure. But 120 for 5 foot on centers, okay? Gotcha. So if you want more wind resistance, your building has to change. And usually that is done and accomplished in a tubular building by reducing the center spacing of your columns and trusses, okay? So here we would have had to have 5 foot, a column and a column. And that's one thing that many clients don't like about a tubular building, but that is solved beautifully with creating a header, okay? So you can see the header there that's supporting the trusses up top. That header is just the header. That's just to create that frame, to create this opening, because we have about, I'm assuming this is like a 9 foot and another 9 foot opening here, okay? Or probably even smaller on this one. But we have a large opening. That way you have no obstructions, you can enter, and there's no base rail, nothing here, okay? Now that would just be exposed frame. Now if you want to finish it off, which requires a lot of details, as you can see here, we got, just a nice finish all the way around. Sheet metal all the way around, just making this openings look spectacular, guys. It's just an aesthetic appeal that gives it such a great look. I know we're trying to stay away from over there because of all the ants, right?
All the ants. Yeah, and also this is a 15 by 9 frame mount. Yeah.
Oh, so this is on the wider
on the wider,
frame
and
mount.
then this one would be the
smaller one, right?
The smaller one. Yep.
Beautiful. And you can see over there how we have a slope coming down here, because if any water is coming here, all this is slope, okay? I know I'm talking a lot, but I'm also telling the story here because our clients like, I did this opening here because I wanted to have the breeze flow through, and I can feel it. I can feel the breeze coming from here. We were feeling it over there.
Yep.
So as you walk around the building, there's breeze flow happening in between, and it reminds me like when I'm in like downtown Fort Worth and you're just kind of walking, and you get that breeze just going right through, and it feels so good, man.
Yeah, like in the alleys and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, in the alleys. It's usually funny because the ladies sometimes are wearing like dresses, and like they're always like this, like. So it's true. It's a funny story, but it is true. So you can see here, we got the header. That's a box header supporting the main structure. Again, that is needed, but we can definitely do it. All customized, nice and trimmed out. And then he has like a nice storage room in here.
Yeah.
You ready to go in? Do you have any more questions,
No,
Ed?
no, no. Let's go into this one because this is very interesting and the way he was able to set this out.
Yeah, so this is what was interesting about this layout because he had lean-tos on this side. So the panels had to be on the inside, or we could have turned it around, but it would, you know, we gotta now work with the columns.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of planning here that had to be done and spoken with our client. Look, if we do it this way, this is, and eventually this is what we ended up where we just did everything normal. The inside is what has the color, but you're gonna see that we have spray foam. So come on in, and we still framed out nice our windows, although it's not necessary. But then again, this was just all panel, but we sprayed on it because this is the encapsulated space, man.
Awesome.
Wow. Nice 1-inch spray foam. These windows for lighting. And then the finish of this, which stay tuned because we're gonna be talking how important it is to have a specific type of finish for open spaces, especially where you have a lot of windows. So that's the cool part, guys, is that you can actually customize it any way you want. You can put a wall anywhere you want. Now, what we stick to is try to stick your walls to the center spacing of your columns, okay? So for example, say the wall was gonna stop right here, then we would need to add an extra truss to create the frame to be able to create the wall. That makes sense?
Makes sense.
So you're gonna pay a little bit extra if you want it in a specific dimension, but if you want your wall to fall in the center spacing, which in this case is 5-foot centers, then it makes it a lot more smoother and also more cost effective. How it's just dropping, so any water that when it rains, especially here in Texas, guys, it rains like this, not like this, but like this. It's hard rains with hard winds. All the water is going to be falling around here, and that water is just being redirected away because we have a nice, about a 3 degree slope, you know, going away from 1 to 3 degrees. Our client has some stuff here. He did say, no problem, but it's the same
type of
dimensions, same concept. A little bit of an enclosed spot for him to kind of store he said his junk, you know, that's what he said, which we all have.
And so this is the second lean-to, right? Yeah.
This is the second lean-to. This is a 14 by 60. Okay, 14 by 60, us right here. It's a lot cooler than that side. Again, now you can see the black panels, nice color matching screws. Inside corner trim here, because especially with the sheet metal being connected, that's where it's being blocked. And we got openings. Again, these look like what? Because we got the lean-tos coming 14 wide, 60 long. To me, it's connecting from 12 feet on the high side, and then it's dropping to 10 foot. So we got this is a step down lean-to, okay? So basically what that means is you got your main structure, and then you got the lean-to connecting off of it. That lean-to is a step down, which means that it's not connecting off of the main roof pitch. So therefore, this step down is coming from 16 to the eaves of the main structure to 12 foot where it's connected. That's where we weld and insert, and it's nice and welded. It's not just bolted together or anything. It's already pre-welded, and then that's where we connect the truss for the lean-to, and which makes it a really, really sturdy building. 2 anchors on every opening. We really want to try to keep the stance a little bit at minimum about 6 inches minimum to a foot, and that's because that allows us to really nice anchor down every column, because these are wedge anchors. Wedge anchors meet the engineering that is needed. However, you know, you can't beat an embedded anchor, okay? And that's like what we do in weld ups. That's what we do in bolt ups, where the bolts and the weld plates are, you know, wet set. So basically we set them during the pour. It's already, it grabs when the concrete is nice and wet and it just bonds together. For tubular buildings, it's afterwards, okay? So it's afterwards. You know, we don't set any anchors during the pour. We come in, we drill into the concrete, and then the expansion anchors start doing their engineering, which is basically like it locks in, and they basically will never come out. I mean, certain pressure that is needed to be able to do that. Now, another thing that we didn't touch base is that I know our load-bearing walls, which is the walls that are supporting the whole roof, which is usually your length. But the end walls for 16 foot, we do double. So that way, like, it just doesn't move. Like,
It's just so sturdy.
doesn't move.
Yeah.
It's super sturdy. I've seen 13 and 14 foot being done with single leg, and they rattle. They won't like collapse, but they still rattle. You can feel it in the wind, and that's why we also do double leg for that.
Awesome.
Alrighty, Pac, as I promised, we're gonna give the price in this tour, okay? We're gonna try to make this standard now. The price for this project, which is again a 30 wide, 75 foot long with the 45 enclosed section, and then we got 30 foot open section with the dual lean-to system. So we got 14 by 60 and 14 by 45 lean-tos with an enclosed section. Very, very custom. All the roll-up doors, all the steel doors, all the windows, which again, these are double pane windows. We don't offer single pane windows. They gave us a lot of problems and we just stopped offering them, okay? You wanna know why? Check out the video that is being shown right now, because that explains why, or the contractor perspective of why we don't offer it. So,
Awesome.
double pane windows, marketing, show the price. That includes building, materials, installation,
Delivery.
taxes. We did need equipment to raise the construction of this project. Now, the price for accessories, again, we got spray foam insulation. This is 1-inch spray foam, R7, and that is in the main structure enclosed, and then all the lean-tos that also have 1-inch spray foam. Now, we also have gutters and downspouts. We got gutters running on the main structure and also on the lean-tos with downspouts, both structures, okay? Marketing, help us out with the price. That is materials, labor, everything included, sales tax, everything. Alrighty, Pac, now let's talk about the concrete, okay? So this was very unique because we got enclosed sections. So the biggest problem we're trying to solve is always for water. That must be done. It's one of the #1 problems that it happens, especially when clients are buying a metal building, because a lot of times there's not a lot of GCs out there or contractors that do the whole project. Typically, you know, you go online and there's a lot of metal builders, but they don't deal with the concrete, they don't deal with the site prep, they don't deal with even insulation like spray foam insulation or even custom doors and windows, which is what we solve for, which is what we do, right? So a lot of times the problem happens, oh, we didn't do the notch correctly, so now I have water seeping under my doors, which is super, super common, okay? So with this project, since he had lean-tos over there, but also had enclosed, we're like, okay, well, now we gotta solve for that, okay? So we're in the main structure right now. This is the 30 by 75, the enclosed portion. We're elevated about 1.5 inches from the lean-to openings. We got the nice notch details all the way around, and therefore any water that's coming from over here is not gonna go out there. But then we have a nice slope that is directing water back out. And you can see from the ground that the flooring of the enclosed section is elevated. So I'm sitting at about another 1.5 inches elevated, and it just gets elevated higher as the slope goes down. And then over here all the way around, you're seeing the same exact thing. And you can even see it under the base trim. Okay, so there was a lot of planning that got involved in this project to make sure he doesn't have any water. We were just hanging out with him. He doesn't have any water problems at all, okay? That's the #1 problem that, you know, we saw with concrete is how do we keep away water from entering and being inside the building. That's why we offer a 1-year leak warranty. If you get concrete with us, you get not only the building, which shouldn't leak, right? But we got a ton of screws. So one screw can be faulty at any time. We got a bunch of screws. So just imagine, you know, the rubber seal of the screw cracks just one, and you got, 2,000, 3,000 screws, and then you got one that just creates the leaking problem. 1 year leak warranty, especially even if, since we do our spray foam, if it's leaking, we still are honoring all our warranties. Awesome. Now that's for leak for obviously the building, as I was mentioning, but also from water seepage under the building. Now, let's talk about the structure of this foundation here, okay? So our client did its own grading, which you can see here, there's not a lot of elevation changes. It's pretty nice. He selected a really good spot. That's really important to look at, is when you shoot the laser, when you shoot the levels, you want to try to stay away from a location that has a lot of a drop, okay? Because if you do, we're gonna have to bring a lot of fill, okay? So when we bring a lot of fill, what does that mean? We have to go deeper into the ground. So this is something that I've been seeing out there. And I know in this video, I'm talking about what I'm seeing out there because I want to educate. That's the whole point here. This YouTube video is for education. Obviously sell our product, not gonna lie, yeah. But I gotta make a living to continue to do these videos. Now, when you bring in fill, it's gonna be compacted, right? But at the end of the day, it's not gonna be as compacted as what the ground has been there for years, for many, many years, okay? So because of that, the fill that we bring in is gonna eventually settle. So the problem with just doing footings based on recommendations, for example, for this structure, minimum footing should be 12 by 18s, okay? Because of the height of the building, minimum, okay? So 12 by 18s, but if you bring in fill, and that fill, and marketing, help us out with the chart. We got like say 10 inches of fill, or let's just say 1 foot, 12 inches. That footing should not end at 12 by 18. It should go further down to hit 12 inches into undisturbed soil. Why? And the reason is because that's where it's solid. That's where the ground has been solid for many, many years. So you want to touch that ground to create a nice, stable foundation. Because once you pour this concrete, the weight of the concrete is gonna settle at some point, and it's gonna settle down. And if your footers are not touching something solid, it's gonna have moving, and that's where you get cracks. Okay, so the ground has to be really, really compacted very well. But if you don't compact it well, which at the end of the day, I mean, unless you do it really specifically a certain way, which is not very common in residential, it's very common in commercial, or bigger, large projects where you can have large, good equipment. The important thing is to go into undisturbed ground, okay? Get the footing, you must go at least 12 inches into the solid ground and hit that ground, okay? Does that make sense, Ed?
Yeah, makes sense. And another thing is that's why I guess the site prep is super important as well.
Site prep is extremely important. You not only bring in fill, but because at the end of the day, obviously you want to compact it really well. And but you also, in the site prep numbers, you're going to see a line item that's called additional footings into undisturbed ground. And that's usually where we don't compare apples to apples. And we're usually orange to apples against, most concrete. Because at the end of the day, we're responsible for the whole thing. We're not just responsible for the concrete. Yeah. So it's in our best interest to make sure that the foundation is solid, because if it moves, which we've had that happen before, it moves the building. The sheet metal can buckle, kind of like in houses. You got the cracks on the walls. Yeah. That's because there was a move in your foundation. I see. The sheet metal buckles. Wow. That's what happens, okay? So it's in our best interest to make sure that the whole project is done correctly. So all our footings are going into undisturbed ground. So what you're seeing here that we're talking about is that we have a minimum 12 by 18 footings, internal cross beams, so it can flex and move together. Well, not necessarily flex, but it's locked in all together, one solid, especially since the ground can move. And then we got 3,500 PSI. That is our standard for our concrete. 3,500 PSI. I know the plans typically call for like 2,500, 3,000. We go for 3,500 PSI on all our concrete, all our notch details. Number 3 rebar on the slab. Number 4 on the footings. That's standard. And I guess everybody wants to know, what is the price?
Yeah, what is the total price?
Well, marketing, throw it out there. And that includes all the labor and the materials and labor, okay? What is not included is site prep, okay? That's gonna be varied by your project. Also, it doesn't include also like If you need a pump, here we don't need a pump, we can access here. It doesn't include into undisturbed soil, okay? Because we just go deeper to footings to meet that undisturbed ground. Stay tuned because we're doing a site prep video where we talk about everything about site prep, okay? And this is a very, very important video because it is also really important to have a nice solid foundation. Alrighty, marketing, help me out because I want you to bring it home, okay? What is the total price? Again, the whole structure, what you're seeing, aside from the certain things I mentioned that are not included, what is that price, marketing? Alrighty, Pack. Now, like anything, all right, it's not take it or leave it. There's a lot of customization. There's a lot of ways to work with your metal building. And that's something to keep in mind as you're shopping around, is that there are many, many different ways to save, or say, I want this, but I want to save on this. Depending on your needs, depending on what you value is what is going to be really important, where you probably want to put more of your budget towards, okay? So that being said, we can customize this building. Cost saving options to say, we change this, you want the same square footage, you want everything the same, but you want to save some money. Here are some things. You can go down from a 12 gauge, which comes with a 20-year warranty, to go to a 14 gauge, which comes with a 10-year warranty, which is still really great, and it still meets all engineering and wind loads and everything. And that's going down to a 14 gauge frame, which is just a little bit thinner, but it's a little bit more wider, which that's why the resistance, the strength is still about pretty much the same, but at 12 gauge is still a little bit more stronger and still meets all wind requirements, by the way. Okay. Also, another cost saving option is you go on your walls as horizontal. You won't have all the girts here, which I love the girts because you can actually, run your electrical, but you can also do the horizontal on the walls, still meet all wind loads, and you can save this amount, okay? The price for the building with those two saving options is, All right, guys, that wraps up the tour, but we're not done because that was only part one. Part two is Willie and I are going to be talking about the finish that we did here. I know that was like something you were watching as we were walking around this whole structure. You're like, man, look at this finish. It looks really nice. And yes, it does look really nice. And I don't know how it's going to show on video, but it makes a huge, huge impact. Okay, so we're going to be talking about what we did here for the finish.
Yes.
Stay tuned for that part two. Aside from that, I want to give out a shout out to our whole building team, to our fabrication shop who did a phenomenal job fabricating this whole structure out of Weatherford, Texas, where we fabricate our own metal buildings. Shout out to our crew leader, Jose Luis, who did the building for this project. And also, I do want to give a shout out to our whole marketing team who makes this all possible. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. I know Ali, Ed, you guys are readily available to answer. Also, a big shout out to our whole team because this is made possible, from sales, processing, to concrete team, to building team, to client success team, and our whole team, because it's a whole chain that makes this strong, and man, it's amazing how we're just delivering amazing results. So aside from that, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on all our social media accounts, and stick around because part two is coming. It's spectacular. You don't want to miss out.
What's up, Pack? Remember to stay up to date with everything that we're up to by checking out our social media. You can find us at WolfSteel Buildings for behind the scenes action. We share our latest projects, update on what the team is working on, and all the exciting progress happening in real time. Don't miss out on the action, and remember to give us a follow.
You don't want to miss out. We're going to be talking about the finished floor of this project.